Never stop reading Bible. Welcome. Today we're diving into a really pivotal journey through 3 chapters that show this fascinating escalation in Jesus' ministry and his teachings. We're going to see how the narrative just builds and builds across these chapters. First, it's all about establishing power and purpose. Then, it's about expanding the mission. And finally, we see the confrontation with the opposition that, well, inevitably rises up against such a radical message. All right, let's start in chapter 9. The focus here is squarely on Jesus establishing his divine identity and, just as important, empowering his followers to actually carry on the work themselves. This is a huge turning point. I mean, think about it. Jesus isn't just performing miracles himself anymore. He's delegating. He's actually granting his disciples the authority to heal and cast out demons, sending them out on their very first major mission to tell everyone that the kingdom of God is near. And man, this chapter is just packed with these powerful signs that build his reputation. You've got rulers like Herod getting curious. He miraculously feeds a crowd of thousands. And then there's this incredible event, the Transfiguration, where he's revealed in divine glory. Each event just builds on the last, really amplifying that question, who is this guy? And all of this leads to this absolutely crucial moment. After all these signs and wonders, Jesus asks the core question, "But who do you say that I am?" And it's Peter who steps up and gives the definitive answer, openly declaring Jesus as the Christ of God, the long-awaited Messiah. So what happens right after this incredible confession? The disciples start thinking about status and who's the most important. But Jesus immediately flips the script on them. He just completely counters their normal ideas of power with this radical teaching on humility. True greatness isn't about being first, he says, it's about being last. Okay, let's move on to chapter 10 and see how this all builds. Now that his identity is established, the mission expands way beyond the inner circle, and the teachings shift from signs of power to the condition of the human heart. And the mission grows, a lot. Jesus now sends out a much larger group, 70 disciples. He sends them out in pairs, which is a really strategic move to prepare towns for his arrival and announce the kingdom on a way wider scale than ever before. Then we get this direct challenge from an expert in religious law. He tries to test Jesus with what seems like a simple question, but Jesus uses it as the perfect opportunity to tell one of the most famous stories in all of history. And through this unforgettable story, Jesus completely redefines what a neighbor is. It's not about your tribe or your social status. The religious figures, the priest and the Levite, the people you'd expect to help, they fail the test. Instead, the hero is a Samaritan, a total social outcast. It proves that a true neighbor is simply anyone who shows mercy to someone in need. Then we get this famous encounter at the home of 2 sisters, and it's all about priorities. Martha is running around busy with all the preparations, while Mary just sits and listens to Jesus. Now, Jesus isn't scolding Martha for serving, he's highlighting the value of choosing the good portion, of focusing on what's truly important instead of getting lost in all of life's distractions. So finally, in chapter 11, the focus shifts again. We get the spiritual tools for the mission, prayer, and we see the opposition that just inevitably pops up when a message this radical confronts the way things are. His followers see something in the way Jesus prays, and they ask him to teach them. And he doesn't just give them some abstract principles. He provides a direct model, a template for how to approach God that has literally been used for thousands of years. But it's not just about the words. Right away, Jesus tells a story to emphasize that prayer isn't supposed to be some passive, one-time request. Nope, it requires persistence, boldness, and it has to be fueled by this deep faith that you're actually going to be heard. And this is where the conflict really ignites. When Jesus casts out a demon, his authority is challenged head-on. Instead of seeing a divine act, some people accuse him of using the power of Beelzebul, the prince of demons, to do his work. That is a serious, serious accusation. The conflict just escalates from there as Jesus confronts the hypocrisy of the religious leaders directly. He accuses them of obsessing over the tiny, external details of religion while completely ignoring the things that actually matter, justice and love. And he doesn't stop there. He then turns to the legal experts, criticizing them for creating this religious system that's become an unbearable weight for the common person, this complex web of rules that they themselves don't even bother to follow. So after that whirlwind journey through these 3 really important chapters, what's the big takeaway? What's the bigger picture here? Well, when you step back, you see this clear and powerful progression, right? It starts with establishing divine power and identity. Then, that power fuels this universal mission that totally redefines love and community. And finally, that mission leads to a direct showdown with the hypocrisy and corruption of the established powers.
This journey through power, purpose, and persecution, it doesn't just stay in the past. It leaves us with a really powerful question about how these foundational ideas, about true authority, radical love, and institutional hypocrisy, how they apply to our own lives and our world, right now.
This explainer was brought to you by the Center Studio. Thanks so much for joining us.